One Battle After Another is the newest movie brought to us by Paul Thomas Anderson, starring a really stacked cast, namely revolving around Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, and Chase Infinity, to name the ones that the movie really centers around. In this movie, Leonardo DiCaprio was once a member, maybe technically still is a member, of this group of vigilantes known as the French 75. Back in the day, they went around and did some really crazy shit. They had a very specific agenda that they were prepared to do whatever it took to show that to the world. Put them in a really bad spot with a military white supremacist guy played by Sean Penn, who's now going after Leo and his daughter. So now Leo's got to go after his daughter to save her from the troubles that he's caused in the past. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you guys, and you might be very shocked to hear this, but I've actually never seen any of Paul Thomas Anderson's movies. Like, literally none of them. Not Boogie Nights, Magnolia, There Will Be Blood. None. I'm sorry, you'd be baffled at the movies I haven't seen. His collection is among those I haven't seen. So as a result, I went into this movie not really knowing what his style was, not really knowing how he writes his characters, or how he really just, oversees a vision. However, one actor that I will always go out of my way to see when it comes to movies is Leonardo DiCaprio. I love Leo. I think he's a phenomenal actor. He's probably my all-time favorite actor, if I'm being honest. So typically any movie that he is in, I'm going to go out of my way to see. So that's ultimately what drove me to this movie. I'll tell you right now, when I tell you the hype was real for this movie, the hype was through the fucking roof. Like, this is probably the most hyped up movie of the year, easily. I mean, originally I would have said that was Sinners, but I think this movie's overtaken that. People went so far to say this is not only the best movie of the year, but the best movie of the decade. Seriously, people were saying, like, it's destined to go down as a classic, and I'm just like, wow, that's a bold statement there, Cotton. So naturally, when critics and Rotten Tomatoes just glaze over a movie to that extent, I do go in with some expectations in check. I'm just like, all right, I'm going in here hoping for the best, hoping it lives up to that hype, but I'll have to see for myself. So starting off with, I want to say the first 30 minutes of the movie wasn't really able to suck me in here. Or what felt like the first 30 minutes of the movie, I should say. Because the first 30 minutes of the movie really showcases what the French 75 did, what they were, and how they went about their propaganda. I mean, they very clearly leaned on a very far side of the political spectrum, and in order to convey their message or, really ignite the revolution, they did some pretty crazy stuff. I mean, they killed innocent people, they blew up buildings, they robbed banks, they did some stuff that is pretty, not okay to the eye. As a result, that leads, people of all different walks of life labeling them a couple things. Like, how do you describe this group of vigilantes? Do you see them as domestic terrorists? Do you see them as revolutionaries? Like, depending, I guess, where you lie politically is how you're going to see them. And listen, I'm a firm believer in everybody should believe whatever they want to believe, support whatever they want to support. However, I do believe there is a right way and a wrong way to go about certain things. And, certain tactics these people were using, I think was the right way to go about it. And the issue I have with the movie is I felt like the movie was really glorifying it. I thought the movie was really painting them as these unquestioned heroes. And for me, I'm like, no, this is a bit of a gray area here. If I'm being honest, I'm not fully on board with these people in the way that I think the movie wants me to be. I'm not going to spoil the character just in case you guys want to see this movie and don't want to have that ruined for you. But a certain character just went about certain things that I would say kind of betrayed certain people in their life. They did things that were questionable, to say the least. And even when there was a time for this character to maybe leave this, sort of revolutionary way behind to focus on certain things that have now come about in their life, this character just kind of chose, nope, I'm going to keep doing this crazy, over-the-line shit to, convey my message. Again, it's a character in the movie I think wanted us to care about and see as a hero, see as someone we should, really get on board with in the movie, but I couldn't. It didn't work for me. And because of that, for much of the beginning of the movie, I was sitting here like, where is this going? Like, what is this movie really about? However, I will say this, after that is done and the movie focuses up, and once you realize what the movie truly is, I was totally sucked into it. Because what you realize that the movie is to its core is a father-daughter movie. You know, this man did some stuff in his past that's now caught up with him. It's resulted in people he's known in his life getting hurt. And now he and his daughter are about to pay the consequences of that. And now he's got to go out and save her from his mistakes. And that's one thing I'll get into right now. Performances across the board. Every single person in this movie, all of them, gave spectacular performances. Really, I could honestly rave over everybody that was in this movie, namely someone who had a big role in this movie, but I don't want to drag this review out too long, so I'm mainly going to focus on the three I mentioned earlier that the movie really focuses on. So we'll start with Leo. Leo, you just know whenever he's in a movie, he's going to clock in, he's going to give you an A-list performance, and he absolutely does that here. He's awesome in this movie. I mean, in the beginning, he starts off as this really passionate, eccentric, you know, revolutionary sort of guy with this agenda, and then, you know, life unfolds for him, he becomes a dad to his daughter, and you know, he's kind of this, you know, crashed out, burnout, stoner, overly paranoid guy. Like, he's super overly protective of his daughter. Like, there's one scene in particular, like, a couple of her friends come to pick her up, and he starts talking to one of the dudes that's there, and he's trying to intimidate the fuck out of the kid, but, you know, the second his daughter's in the room, he's trying to make it like, nah, it's all cool, we're bonding, honey, it's all good here. And there's another moment where he's on the phone with someone who used to be a part of the revolution, but, you know, Leo doesn't remember any of the codes, so he doesn't know how to, you know, get to the next step that he needs to get to, and he's getting very visibly frustrated. Like, it's probably the funniest Leonardo DiCaprio performance he has given since definitely at least Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but maybe even since Wolf of Wall Street. That's the credit I give to Leo, but I also give to Paul Thomas Anderson. Like, he knew when the movie needed to be really serious and really intense and really dramatic, but he also knew when to make it a little more lighthearted and when to make it a little more comedic. And that is credit you give to an actor like Leonardo DiCaprio, because you know he's an actor very capable of going from being extremely dramatic and serious to being funny very effortlessly and making it feel seamless to the point where it doesn't contradict itself. That is something that's very hard to do, and I give Leo a lot of props for pulling that off. Sean Penn is another standout in this movie. He plays the villain of the story. He plays this military sort of leader that had a run-in with the French 75 earlier, and because of some shit that went down, he's out to take all of them out. And Sean Penn plays a great villain in this movie. I mean, he is menacing, he's intimidating, like the way he presents itself, you can tell he's not right in the head, not to the point where he's stupid or something like that, but you just know something's off with him. Like, he's the kind of guy that could pop at any point, which makes him a very scary character. Like, there are certain moments he's talking to somebody or he's trying to interrogate somebody and you're just on the edge of your seat because you don't know what this guy's gonna do. The movie does, to a degree though, kind of take a few routes with him in terms of his character and his story, where they want to treat him a little bit like Leo's character, in the sense it's like, okay, he's being really serious and intimidating right now. Now let's give him something that's a little more lighthearted and funny and, I know, just kind of ridiculous for his character to make you hate him a little bit more, but also see him as maybe kind of pathetic and as a result make you laugh a little bit at it. But that was the area with Sean Penn that I don't think worked very well. Not that I don't think Sean Penn is capable of that. I mean, Sean Penn is one of the best actors in the business right now, so I know he is capable of that. I think it was just the execution to how they were trying to treat his character. Like, maybe in some ways they were trying to make him like a Jew hunter sort of character from Inglourious Basterds. How there are times where, you know, Christoph Waltz is very in your face and scary and intimidating, but he also cracked some jokes here and there that actually worked and, you know, lightened up the mood a little bit, lightened up the setting. I feel like they were kind of trying to do that with Sean Penn a little bit, and it didn't really work. Not at least in the ways I would have hoped it would. And yeah, Chase Infinity, I haven't seen her in anything prior to this movie, but she deserves a lot of credit as well. I thought she was great here. Apparently it's only like her second movie role. Some people are calling her the breakthrough star of the year. I wouldn't go that far. I still think Miles Kate and Sinners would get that title from me, but that's just my opinion. But regardless, she's still great in this movie. And what I love seeing with her that really impressed me is how well she was able to go toe-to-toe with these A-list actors. These experienced experienced, established guys. And there are moments where she and Leo are having a father-daughter banter between each other where, he's embarrassing her in front of her friends, or he's being a controlling father and she's rolling her eyes at him, and it felt like a very authentic and real father-daughter relationship. Like, he'll be a little bit of a smart-ass to her, and then she'll be a little bit of a smart-ass to him, and I'm like, alright, she's keeping up with this guy, this is good to see. But yeah, she has moments where she's gotta feel annoyed, feel aggravated, feel like, a teenage girl with, an overprotective dad. And there are other moments where she has to feel absolutely nervous and terrified and confused to what's going on, and she absolutely pulls that off as well. Again, there is a moment in this movie between her and Sean Penn's character where I was completely... my heart was racing a little bit, because it's one of those, you don't know necessarily what's going to happen with her, exactly how an unstable character like Sean Penn's character is going to deal with her. And you can just see sheer fear and confusion and just uneasiness in her, and that really sold the scene. So I give her a lot of credit for that. Does she have a bright future ahead for herself? Absolutely. And like I said, once the movie really focuses up and becomes a father-daughter rescue sort of movie, I thought the movie flowed extremely well. The pacing was really good, the writing was really good, certain conversations going on between characters like Leo and Benicio del Toro, who's in this movie, and he's great. And yeah, it is really Leo getting into one battle after another, trying to rescue his daughter, and as a result, you feel like you're on this long ride with Leo, trying to get to that end point. You want him to reach his daughter, you want him to save her, and he's going to get through a lot to do it. And the movie, as a result, is very gripping in that. It's a very step-by-step sort of movie. It's not like directors are, all right, just go and save your daughter. It's like, no, there are steps to this. There's, certain methods you have to take if you're going to get to that point. The whole time, you are rooting like hell for Leo to get to each one. Anytime he gets through each point that he needs to get to, you feel like you're one step closer to him getting to where he needs to go. Also, yeah, I will say as much, the movie is shot beautifully. The movie looked gorgeous. I saw it in IMAX. It really did look well. It was filmed extremely well, and that's credit to Paul Thomas Anderson right there. The movie does call itself an action thriller. I don't know if I would really go that far with the action. It's definitely more thriller than it is action. The action in the movie isn't meant to be fun. The action in this movie is kind of meant to scare the shit out of you. When a gun goes off and someone gets killed, you're kind of meant to, jump in your seat a little bit. It's supposed to make you jolt. But it does that very effectively. So when the action goes down, it's got you on the edge of your seat. Not because you're maybe, having fun with it, but because you are scared for certain characters. But yeah, as far as scenes to behold in this movie, I'll say this much. You've probably already heard it by now, but there's a scene on a road with a couple cars. It was epic. It was legitimately spectacular. The way it was shot, the way it was filmed, the way, the cars are just chasing each other. It's simple in execution, or it's simple in concept, but the execution of it was just flawless. That was the moment where I forgot I was in a movie. The movie was able to just suck me in right there, and I was like, I'm along for this ride, literally so. Other flaws I have, though, when it comes to the ending of the movie, though, I do feel they dragged it out longer than they really needed to. They take a route with Sean Penn's character that I don't think they really needed to. There's a point in this movie where you feel like his part of the story is done, but it just kept going with him, and I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. And then finally, eventually, his story finally wraps up, and I'm just like, did we really need that? Did we need to see that there? I didn't think it was necessary. And yeah, they also take a route later on with this movie where they reference again the shit that happened back in, the French 75, where, certain characters learn a little bit more about what happened, and again, the movie feels like it's encouraging certain characters to continue the ideology from that group and go about it the way that they did, which again feels like the movie trying to make those actions feel heroic, even though certain stuff that happened wasn't exactly, right. This is maybe a me problem. You might feel very differently towards it, but again, it was just the glorifying of certain elements that this group did that I just couldn't get on board with, and the movie is trying very hard to tell you that it's the right thing to get on board with. Oh yeah, the movie's around 2 hours and 42 minutes long. If I'm being honest, if they took out the 30 minutes of build-up with the French 75 and maybe alluded to them more with flashbacks in terms of Leo's character when he's talking about why certain people are coming after him and things like that, and they really trimmed down the ending and took out some stuff they didn't really need to have, you'd have about a 2-hour movie, maybe a 2 hour and 10 minute movie that I would say would be excellent. Like, people calling it best of the year, I would probably entertain it as that if it was a little bit shorter in that sense. Instead, we have a movie that's definitely a little bit drawn out and focused a little too much on areas that didn't really suck me in the way other aspects of the movie did. So all in all, I will say this, One Battle After Another is an extremely well-made movie. Paul Thomas Anderson's direction in this movie is excellent. The way he shoots certain scenes, the way he executes certain moments, top notch, sucked me in. Moments that were actually pretty incredible. The entire cast across the board, everybody clocked into work, everybody brought their A game, everybody was excellent. There's going to be at least a few Oscar nominations among this cast, and you know, there's some that should probably even be a win, honestly. There were elements with the beginning that couldn't really suck me in. There were elements with the ending that kind of took me out of it. But in between that was a great father-daughter rescue mission story that I was fully on board with, that I was completely sucked into, that I really enjoyed. Had some moments that are very thrilling, had me white-knuckling it, had me just hoping for whoever it was that you're supposed to be rooting for in those moments to really get out of the situation and get to the next battle that they gotta get to. And in the end, I think know who you are going into a movie like this. If you're a big Paul Thomas Anderson fan, I think you'll absolutely love this movie. This will easily be the movie of the year for you. If you're like me and his movies haven't really sucked you in as much, I still think you will enjoy it, but it won't hit you the way maybe the critics out there are telling you it should hit you. So for that, I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10, which I still think does make it a movie worth going to see in theaters.
All right, come on, hurry up, Brian. I don't want to miss the movie trivia slides before the movie.
Definitely kind of bummed it couldn't live up to the hype, but sometimes when a movie is that hyped up, it's almost impossible to. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video, and as always, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.